Well, thank you everybody for being here and inviting us here to the Volcano Summit, and thank you, Marielena, for joining me here as well. I recently wrote a book on the title of this thing called The American Dream is a Terrible Thing to Waste, so that's where we get the topic of this panel. But you know, I have spent a lot of time in Guatemala, and here I have Marielena, who was born and raised here in Guatemala, but has also spent the last 15 years of her life in the United States, immigrating there. And you know, through my book and a lot of the conversations I've had on my podcast with a lot of entrepreneurs, really I've discovered some of the common characteristics that define how entrepreneurs succeed and how they go after the American dream. But we also understand the American dream right now is under assault, right? We have a lot of people talking about all the challenges to the economy, whether that's the challenges posed by inflation, a recession, AI, the recent pandemic, all these challenges, and it has brought a lot of anxiety to, you know, including to a lot of people in the United States. And as someone from the United States who's grown up as the son of a Cuban immigrant, I see now a lot of young people really anxious about the future, really anxious about, is the American dream still possible in today's challenging economy? But one of the other things I recognize is I meet a lot of immigrants like Marielena all the time who walk into a place like the United States and see opportunity everywhere. And that is what the entrepreneur does as well. The entrepreneur sees opportunities where other people maybe fail to. And so, Marielena, you know, being an immigrant, it's a journey that you take that involves a lot of risk. You don't know exactly where the journey's going. You don't know if how it's going to unfold, how you're going to be successful. But tell us a little bit about your journey and how you have actually had several different careers throughout your life already.
Yes, buenos días. Thank you, Francisco, for the invitation, and thank you to everyone who had something to do with us being here. I think that everyone that is sharing this in live or when they see it online is because we share something in common. We like to think of ourselves as dreamers, as people who want to achieve something more. I think that my journey is the journey of many of you. I was born and raised here. I hablo español. I was raised in a Catholic, I was studying in a Catholic school, and my journey is very, very similar in many ways to the journey of many of my friends here and my family here in Guatemala. Yet, my journey also has been different. I've been an immigrant for 15 years now, living in New York City, and I really wish my story of immigration to every single Guatemalan I could help. Because my story of immigration starts here. And my story of immigration, I didn't have to go to the US. The US came here for me. And I think that shows that opportunity is a state of mind. And it doesn't matter where you were born, you can compete with everyone if you are willing to put on the work and if you're willing to take the risks that it has. I started my career here. I worked for 10 years here. One day I was doing a presentation in a corporate room, and somebody from headquarters came and said, I like this little crazy Guatemalan, I would love her to come to New York. And there I was, emigrating with a visa because of a PowerPoint. So I continued my career in New York. I worked with PepsiCo for 10 more years. And I had the pleasure of launching the Lipton, the tea Lipton brand all over Latin America. So every time I see a Lipton bottle here, my heart goes a little bit happier, beats a little bit happier because I planted that seed. And because of that, and simply because of that, now I identify myself as an immigrant living the American dream. more than that, as a Guatemalan immigrant living the American dream. And recently, I just started a new stage in my life. I'm still finding difficult to say it, but I am a Hollywood agent working with some of the most influential talent in the world. And all of that started because of a PowerPoint in Zona 10 in Guatemala City. So my story is a story of the American dream, and I hope you can see yourself reflected in me, because all I had is a dream, no fear, and ganas de hacer las cosas lo mejor posible.
That's amazing. Well, you know, one of the things when we're talking about the American dream, a lot of times we think of that tied to a particular geography, right? The United States of America, where so many people have come from all over the world. It's a very special place indeed. But one of the things, it can be beyond the geography of the United States, because if you're going to be successful anywhere you are, whether you start a business or not, you should really try to build an entrepreneur mindset. And I really do liken that to the immigrant mindset, right? The immigrant comes on a very difficult journey. They're bold, they're courageous, they're in some ways fearless. And they do not know, you know, it's the unknown where they're going, but they do see opportunities everywhere. But one of the things we like to, you know, say is that how the American dream is a mindset. Just like being an entrepreneur is a mindset, being an immigrant, you have a mindset. So this can be accomplished anywhere. And you know, one of the things she didn't tell you here, she's a Hollywood agent, and she's going to be working with Sylvester Stallone and his daughters. And I thought to myself, how much more of an American dream can it be than to work with Rocky? So Marielena, tell us a little bit, how can we redefine the American dream so it's not simply tied to a geography? Because, I mean, I love my country, I love the United States, I want us to be the greatest, most powerful force on earth, but I also know that I want everybody in the entire world to be able to succeed wherever they are. I love Guatemala, I've spent a long time here, I've taught at the Universidad Francisco Marroquín, and one of the things I try to teach is the entrepreneur mindset, because one of the crises we see in our country is a crisis that really starts in Central America and other countries in Latin America, and that is the border crisis. There's no need, I hope one day there's no need for anybody to have to uproot themselves from Latin America to have to go to the United States on such a hard, difficult, dangerous journey. The opportunities are there for people who want them, but I hope we can create more opportunities here so people can stay here. And you know, who knows, maybe we have a return immigrant back to Guatemala. So Marielena, what could you say a little bit about the American dream and expanding it just beyond the borders of the United States?
Well, every day you turn on the TV or friends tell you the American dream is dead, the American dream is fading, the American dream is bullshit, the American dream is getting out of the US. Well, if you think about it, Francisco, dreams are energy. Therefore, they cannot die. They will just transform. It's funny because every time I hear that, I think to myself, for 3 million of my Guatemalan friends that are migrating to the US, this is still land of opportunity. All they see is opportunity. They don't see anything wrong with this. For many Americans that are here among us or that are in Mexico City or moving to Medellin because of the digital nomad trend, all they see is opportunity. So I think that the American dream is a matter of being aware of opportunity. I think that the big equalizer is internet, is connectivity. Before you needed to migrate to do business with New York. Now I talk to Guatemala, Colombia, Argentina 3 times a day. So the opportunities that you needed to go and seek in your real life before, now you can do digitally. So I think that is something that we need to be aware of. We don't need to migrate. We can migrate digitally and start living that, bringing those opportunities right now. The second thing that for me is very simple but very powerful is the American dream. For me, the American dream has always been the dream of a continent. rather than the dream of a country. So I do think that the American dream should convey the Guatemalan dream, the Honduras dream, the Nicaragua dream. And together we will make the real American dream. And when, you know, the ancient prophecy, when the eagle, the quetzal, and the condor fly together, that's when we really will become powerful. So I think that for me has always been the energy of the American dream. And all I can see here is resources and possibilities, and perhaps the new American dream looks a lot greener than before, and more like this than what we thought before.
Yeah, and you know, getting back to this term, the American dream, I want to focus on the second word there, dream. You know, a dream is very powerful. You have to have the vision, you have to have the passion to envision the dream, to have the dream in the first place. But a dream without action is simply a dream. So part of building an entrepreneur mindset is taking action. You know, entrepreneurs, one of the key characteristics is solving a problem, creating value for other people. But a lot of times people have a lot of great ideas. The ideas never leave their head, they're never even mouthed to a single other person. Once you start sharing your ideas with others, you start collaborating, you start getting feedback, you start, you know, really realizing if your dream, if your idea is possible. But then you've also got to have the willingness to take the action, to go forward. A lot of people are so afraid to just try. And one of the great things that the United States has with our rule of law and our strong, you know, type of economy, that we have sort of like a right to try and a right to fail. And this is kind of embedded a little bit in our unique bankruptcy laws as well. But it's the idea that you could try, but you know, you're only gonna learn if something works if you try. And a lot of times, I mean, I haven't met a single entrepreneur, 130 podcast episodes, all sorts of conferences I go to, that did not fail at something. And sometimes they don't even themselves see it or mouth it as a failure, because they just see it as a learning opportunity. And so in order to be able to go forward and actually succeed, and I mean, we're filled here at a conference with so many amazing innovators. Imagine if they were afraid to try something, if they didn't take that action to try. You know, I see the same thing with immigrants when you're talking about the immigrant mindset. Sometimes they don't have the opportunity in wherever they were born and raised, and it is that ability to go out and say, I'm not going to let my circumstances determine my fate. I'm going to go ahead, maybe I need to immigrate somewhere. By the way, internally in a country or internally in the United States, right? Sometimes you gotta move from one place to another to take a job, to take an opportunity, and you don't even have to leave your country, right? Maybe you're coming from a rural area of Guatemala and coming into Guatemala City as one example, right? So I think that is something to be thinking about when you're talking about the American dream, and a dream is a terrible thing to waste if you don't take action.
Yeah, like if the dream with no action is gonna drive you crazy, and is gonna be a waste of time. So I think that the most important thing is you must be willing to put on the work, and if you want to dream bigger than others, you got to be willing to work harder than others, and be willing to be working when others are playing and partying. I think that's the key of the success. I mean, I get to work with very talented people like Sly and many others, but believe me, that takes work, and I gotta be willing to put with that work, and it is a big responsibility. And as I represent many people from my nation and from my community and from my background, I carry them in my shoulders too. So I hope that we all can be better Latinos, we all can be better immigrants, we all can help each other more, and we all can help the ones that are coming back, the new generations, so that they can get a clearer path and something that makes their dreams probably easier than all the work that we had to put on before. But again, a dream without work is a waste of time.
And I like how you focused on work. You know, one of the characteristics I outlined in the book about that are common to all entrepreneurs are that I find that they're all formed by experiences. And those experiences can be in a lot of different ways, but work experience is one of the most important. And I always try to remind people, no matter what job you have right now, when I was in college, the closest job I could get, because I didn't have a car, I was living in Orlando, Florida, was to work at a Taco Bell, wrapping tacos and putting them through the drive-thru as a cashier, making, just barely above minimum wage. But let me tell you, I was determined to make that the fastest running Taco Bell drive-thru ever, because I just wanted to learn the process and do it. And I think you can apply this in so many different ways, no matter where you are in life. Do your job and do it well, and work hard, and work 2 jobs if you need to. I'm going to tell you, speaking of an immigrant, I ran into an immigrant, a Cuban immigrant, 2 weeks ago in South Florida, delivering packages on a Sunday night at 10:30 p.m. And I asked him, he was looking to try to, which house, he was at the wrong house, and he was using his own car. And I said, isn't it a little late on a Sunday night to be delivering Amazon? How long have you been working today? He said, this is my 2nd job today. I work at a restaurant. And by the way, he only spoke Spanish. I work at a restaurant all day, and now I'm working delivering packages at night. Wow. I said, where are you from? He said, Miami Gardens. I said, no. Where are you from? Cuba. How long have you been here? 11 months. I thought, my God, this guy's got 2 jobs that I know of, has been here 11 months, has a car. And I thought, my gosh, he's working so hard on a Sunday night while I was enjoying my Sunday. But then I thought to myself, you know what? This man has lived his entire life. He was probably about 40 years old in a communist country. His last 11 months working 2 jobs on Sunday night has been probably the most phenomenal 11 months of his life. So everything's about perspective. But also, experiences can also be travel experiences. It's kind of why I take a lot of people on group trips. I really think getting out of your location and going somewhere and experiencing different cultures, different perspectives can do that. Moving to another country, I moved to Guatemala for a year. I keep coming back here, I love it. But you moved to the United States for, now it's been 15 years. So maybe you could tell a little bit more about how some of the experiences have formed you, and also the fact that you have not just had multiple jobs, you're now on your 3rd different career.
Yes, it's the more you can open your eyes and your imagination, the more you will grow. And I think that the fact that I migrated from Guatemala gave me a different perspective, especially in a city like New York City, where you're on your own and you better like yourself, and you better learn to live by yourself, and you better learn to be on top of your game. So New York gave me the gift of knowing myself and knowing that I could be competitive with the elite. And guess what? Maybe I had to run faster. I had to wake up earlier because I'm not the smartest person in the room. But guess what? I made it. And if you can make it there, you'll make it anywhere. So I think that every day I find a lot of people like myself delivering Uber Eats. And I talk to many of them, and they are people from Salcajá, people from Huehuetenango, whose first language is not even Spanish, it's Maya Quiche. And they are there talking to me in Spanish and talking to people in English, so they are speaking 3 languages. And for me, that tells me something, that these people in the highlands have a big capacity for learning fast. They arrive in US, and in 3 months, they're speaking 3 languages. So when they come back, they will come speaking fluent English, fluent Spanish, their native language, but also knowing how to make the best freaking Taco Bells, burgers with bacon that taste like heaven, working hotels. So I think that they are being blessed with education, and they are going to come back and make this country better. I am convinced about that.
Well, that's great. And I really do, no matter, I know people are here from many, many nations, coming from all over the world to be here. And I really think that we should do our work to really empower more people where they are to build that entrepreneur mindset. Because really, I spent, like I said, quite a long time here in Guatemala. And the longer I've been here, most people outside Guatemala think of Guatemala as like a 3rd world country. Why are you going to Guatemala, right? You come here and you're like, I can't believe, nobody would know that, there would be such an amazing summit with so many people from around the world to come to Guatemala. Spending a long time in Guatemala, I noticed all the natural resources. This is one of the most abundant natural resource places in the world for such a small geographic area comparatively. And also the people, the most friendly, hospitable people I've ever met. And I've been around 30 countries or whatever. And also just the hard work. And I scratch my head sometimes and like, what's going on here? Why isn't this country a stronger economic powerhouse? I think it has to do with the mindset. Maybe it goes back to a period of history much earlier. I don't know, but I do think if we can empower more people to have that entrepreneur mindset, Guatemala can be one of the most successful places.
One thing, just to finalize, as a Guatemalan, yo creo que debemos dejar de pensar que somos chiquititos y empezar a pensar que somos grandototes. And the American dream is about being able to live doing what you love, and I think that's the destiny of this nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.